What up? It is the Wednesday edition of Cluster Fun. Danny Cunningham, Ramie Makhlouf
Hi
with
there.
you. Minnesota Twins win again last night. Ramie has cut the brakes. Not only has he
Cut
put
the
a
brakes.
roof on it, but he's cut the brakes as well. He's just coming up with another hashtag every week, it seems. But cut the brakes is the all the rage right now.
It
seems,
is,
Ramie.
and I feel like more and more people are cutting the brakes on these 2019 Minnesota Twins, Danny. And the origin of cut the brakes. One day on Mackie and Judd with Ramie, I was talking about the fact that they're locked in as the division champions.
Sure.
I'm already thinking beyond that. I'm thinking, how do we set this team up for playoff success? I'm already at that step. And people were calling up and tweeting into the show and saying, like 3 or 4 people used the same exact terminology. Ramie, you need to pump the brakes a little bit on this Twins team.
I use the phrase pump the brakes at times.
And
Maybe
I-
not for this, but for other things in
said
life,
not only-
I have used pump the brakes. I'm guilty.
I said, not only am I not pumping the brakes, Danny, I'm cutting the damn brakes. They're cut.
It seems kind of
There's
dangerous.
there's no stopping this locomotive. And look, I know there are going to be sharp turns. There are going to be potholes. We might even run into a few things. We're just going to run right through those things.
It sounds painful.
What I mean by that is there will be times where this isn't a smooth ride.
Sure.
Right now it's very smooth, but there will be times over the course of a 162-game season, even for the best of teams, which the Twins are amongst, that are it's going to be a rough ride.
That's how baseball goes.
We're gonna have to white knuckle it a little bit, but that doesn't mean that we have somebody climbing out and onto the back of the car to try and fix the brakes while it's moving, or that we somehow
It'd be nice to
come
be able to
a
tap
ru-
them at
no,
times.
Nothing.
It'd be nice to be able to
Nothing.
tap the brakes,
Nothing.
I think.
We're not running out of gas. We're not cutting the brakes. Nothing.
You are going to run out of gas.
We're not
You're going to have to refill your gas tank.
We're not
at some
coming
point.
to a
It's
rolling stop. Nothing. We
might.
refuel on the move, like
don't-
a fighter jet. That's how this Twins train is a rolling. Danny Cunningham. This locomotive does not stop. There are no brakes on it.
Are they ever going to stop hitting home runs? Because it seems like
No.
that's all they do.
No.
So 2 weeks ago, I did the
That's
math.
another hashtag. Bomb Squad.
See, one a week. I'm telling you guys, one a week. They were pacing for 291. I haven't done the math for today, but as of last Sunday, it was up to 313. What are they going to finish at?
Over 300.
But how many over 300? Don't just say over 300.
I'm gonna say, okay.
There are a lot of numbers higher than 300.
I'm going to say 310.
310.
I'm going to say 310 home runs
That's so many home
for this
runs.
Twins team. I know, but this is the thing. I feel like, first of all, as the weather gets warmer, balls just start flying farther
that
and
happens
faster
everywhere
around Major League Baseball.
Well, not everywhere. Like in Houston, it doesn't because they have a roof.
Right.
And
Places-
all these places that
like Miller Park
yes,
has
yeah,
a roof.
fine.
And,
You like roofs.
yes, Chase Field in Arizona has a,
Well, it's always hot there too.
has a roof. Miami, they have a roof. They don't have a
Also
good
hot
baseball team to play under it, but they
They
have
don't
a
have
roof.
teams that can hit home runs.
But yeah, so that kind of affects the conditions a little bit. But here in Minnesota, where they didn't put a roof on it, the ball will start flying farther, and other parks that they visit that didn't put a roof on it, the ball will start flying farther in those parks too. And if you look at, we were going over this on the Score North Twins show today, another edition coming up at 1 on Score North on 1500 in the mobile app, and you look at some of the monthly splits for guys up and down this Twins roster, a lot of these guys haven't even hit the hot part of their season yet. Nelson Cruz, who's hurt right now, he doesn't warm up until like July, August.
Sure.
Polanco, who's the best hitter in the American League right now, his hottest months are June and July. There are guys, and I think Byron Buxton tends to heat up as the season gets later when he's had a good season. So
And then other ones where it just has never happened.
the craziest thing about this Twins offense is the weather is going to get hotter. Balls are going to start flying farther and faster. And B, there's at least 4 or 5 guys in this lineup who haven't even gotten hot yet.
Are you concerned about when they do at some point hit a cold stretch, how they respond to it? Because, like you said, it's not always going to be smooth.
Right.
There are going to be plenty of bumps along
Absolutely.
the way with a 162-game season. No team, every team's going to at least lose 50 games, and some of those are going to come in bunches. So are you concerned about how they could respond when that, because it's been nothing but smooth sailing so far.
Right.
When that does happen, I think one of the most interesting things is how they're going to respond.
The reason why I feel good about that, and maybe I'm too quick to jump on this bandwagon, I love.
Do you have a hashtag for it?
Not yet.
Then
but I
you're not
will.
on the bandwagon yet.
I
You're
lo-
not on a bandwagon until you have a hashtag for
I
it.
need to create a hashtag for this. Believe in Baldelli. I believe in Baldelli.
You can do better. You can do better.
But it's just a brainstorming session. We'll start there. I believe in Rocco Baldelli, and I love the tone that he's set for this team in terms of the mood in that clubhouse. Early on in the season, I don't remember which game it was. I think it was in the first series against the Indians, when in the one game that they lost in that series, and they had no music. Everybody was kind of in their own locker and keeping to themselves after the game. And Baldelli was like, guys, there's 162 of these. We can't react like this every time we lose a game. We're going to lose plenty of games. And I feel like that's been the overall mood of this team. Don't get too high with the highs. Don't get too low with the lows. And I think they're equipped to deal with this from a mental and emotional standpoint. I think Baldelli has really set the right tone and kind of taken the pressure off of these guys.
Other big thing that happened yesterday, Ryan Saunders introduced as head coach of the Timberwolves, 11th full-time head coach in franchise history. What were your main takeaways from his introductory press conference when we finally got to meet Ryan Saunders, who we clearly didn't know and haven't gotten to know over the last 6 months?
I love Ryan Saunders, the dude. Like you saw what kind of person he was yesterday when he kind of got choked up a little bit and thanked his dad and acknowledged his dad, Flip, who obviously has a lot of history in the state and with the Timberwolves in particular. I love the guy, and I love some of the characters and the traits that he brings to the head coaching job. He checks a lot of boxes in terms of young, innovative, forward-thinking, good communicator, has a good relationship with players. He checks a lot of the boxes that you want from an NBA head coach in the modern game, but we don't know what kind of coach he really is yet. Like in terms of when it comes to pulling the strings in a game, whether it's his rotations or calling a play out of a timeout or the myriad of choices an NBA coach has to make over the course of a game. We don't really know who he is in that sense yet because things were so chaotic when he took this team over this year.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have his own staff. There were injuries everywhere. The best player on the team, arguably, well, probably not. Second best player on the team just embarrassed the team into trading him somewhere else. Like, it wasn't a normal setting for a head coach to take over in the middle of the season, which is never an easy thing to do. And then you throw all those circumstances on top of it. I don't think we got a good read on what kind of coach he is. So I don't know.
It's hard to know. It's not fair to judge him based on what we saw either. It's just not fair.
For better or worse.
Yes, one way or another.
I don't think you can say I'm sold on Ryan Saunders
But
today.
you also can't say Ryan can't do this.
Exactly.
I think that there's so much that we have yet to find out.
The other thing I thought was interesting from that press conference, though, and I think it had the opposite effect for me than what he intended it to have, Gerson Rosas opening the thing up by saying, essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, this was my hire. There's nothing else to it than that. Guys, I made this hire. Don't worry about it. Nobody else had any put on this hire. This was all me. Like, if I'm him, I just let that storyline go. I don't feel a need to even address it. I feel like by addressing it, and especially as emphatically as he addressed it, and as long as he took to address it, that makes me kind of look at it with the side eye, like, did you really, dude? Really?
So
I was buying it until now, but really?
The funniest thing about Gerson Rosas is the one phrase that he has uttered over and over and over again, and he's only had 2 meetings with the media so far, so it's not as if we've gotten to know him really well, but he says actions over words. Like, that is kind of his fallback phrase. But he also talks a lot. Like, he can talk with the best of them, and he also says actions over words, so these actions better be awesome for as much as he talks.
The action of talking so much contradicts the words that he says when he says actions speak louder than words.
It's crazy. And then elsewhere in the NBA last night, Toronto Raptors rout the Milwaukee Bucks 120-102, Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. You're a fake Bucks fan. How nervous are you now?
I'm really not that nervous, dude.
Why not?
I'm really not, because nothing has really changed. I predicted Bucks in 6.
I do think things definitely changed.
I wanted Bucks in 6 because this allows me, I'm going back to Milwaukee for Memorial Day weekend. This allows me to be in the Deer District for the celebration on Saturday, guaranteed. And to me, nothing has changed. And this is what people do over the course of the NBA playoffs. And I'm not saying they're in the same class as the Warriors, but we even do this with the Warriors. Like, they'll lose a game or two, and everybody loses their minds and thinks the whole dynamic of the series has changed, and now they're at risk. You look at the Raptors-Bucks series. I didn't expect the Bucks to run right through the Raptors.
Sure.
I knew they'd present some challenges, but I came into this series, A, saying they'd win in 6, but B, my overriding thought was nobody in the East is beating Giannis and the Bucks 4 times in 7 games. I just don't believe that that's going to happen.
The way Toronto has adjusted and Mike Budenholzer's track record of not being able to readjust really makes me question whether or not the Bucks are going to be able to do this. And
but Budenholzer didn't have Giannis.
It doesn't matter because it's not a having Giannis thing, and Giannis looks shook right now. With Kawhi Leonard defending him, he's not looked like anything close to a league
And now
MVP.
they go back to Milwaukee. He didn't have to deal with Drake anymore.
That is hilarious. The Drake, I love Drake on the sideline. line. It's so funny. I don't understand why everyone's all in their feelings about it.
I follow and have a lot of people on Twitter who follow me from Milwaukee for my previous stop in my radio career, and Drake is public enemy #1 in Milwaukee and among Bucks Nation right now.
People are acting like he's just some regular fan. Like, he is a team employee.
But
he is employed by the Toronto Raptors.
Giving
He's
the Raptors head coach a shoulder rub mid-game, that's a little too far.
No,
that's
it's
just
not.
a little too far.
Give him a back rub. I don't care. It's funny.
He's there on the sidelines giving him the chop.
You're up by 20 in the conference finals. I mean, LeBron pretended to drink a beer on the court one time against the Raptors.
That's true.
Like, I'm all for that kind of stuff. That's funny. I was sitting on my couch laughing when he did that.
I mean, it's nothing new. And I was going back and forth with one of my former coworkers at the Fan yesterday, and I was just. He was all upset about it. I'm not going to name him because he's mad at me today. If you're watching, you know who you are, Bart.
I was going to say his
name. He's already mad at me. But he was all upset about Drake, and I was just sending him, like, Spike Lee gifs. Like, dude, this isn't something new.
No.
Drake isn't the first to do it, and he won't be the last. And the people are like, if this is anybody else, they'd be escorted out of the stadium or told to sit down. Maybe, but celebrities are treated different. Like, are we still surprised by that?
We lose track that he's not just a celebrity. Drake has an office in the Raptors facility.
The ambassador?
He is the Toronto Raptors global ambassador. They have been fined as a franchise for tampering before because of Drake's relationship with players on other teams. Like, Drake is not just a normal fan. It's like if Aaron Rodgers, who was technically a part owner of the Bucks, did this. It would be okay. But if another celebrity fan did it might not be.
Bart texted me yesterday. I'll just paraphrase. I was going to find the text. I think he said, Aaron sits on the sidelines quiet like a good boy.
That's because Aaron Rodgers hates fun. Like, Drake, and the thing is, Drake is just living out what every other fan is doing. Yeah. Drake is just cool enough that he gets to actually do it in real life while we all have to sit on our couches.
Right.
That's why everyone's mad, because it's not just, he cheers against the team. He's cheering against the team that I like, but it's like, I kind of wish I could do that. Like, I wish I was that. And you're not. And
I wish I could give the coach a back rub. Yeah. But back to the series itself, we're right back where we started.
No, we're not. We're at 2-2. We started 0-0.
With the Bucks having home court advantage and needing to win more games than the Raptors. We're right back where we started, and I'm honestly not that concerned as a fake Bucks fan, as you term me.
I would be concerned if I were a Bucks fan, because the play of Eric Bledsoe has been terrible for Milwaukee. He does not look anything like the player he was in the regular season, and Giannis has not been the best player in this series, and you can't win a series like that.
I'll admit that.
If you're the Bucks, you can't win a series with Giannis not being your best player, and well, he's their best player, but not the best player in the series, I should say. And I don't know that you can win a series with George Hill, your second best player, against the Toronto Raptors.
One question before we wrap this up, because I'm assuming we have to wrap this up.
Sure.
Didn't you tell me I should be worried after Game 1 in the Celtics series?
Not to this extent. Not to this extent, because that wasn't an adjustment. That was a game plan. Toronto adjusted what they did, and the Bucks got punched in the face twice now, and they look shook.
I'm
Giannis was supposed to. Yesterday could have been a moment for Giannis. Giannis doesn't have moments. Giannis is a terrific player, but he does not have those moments that you look back and think about. Like, he doesn't have a big playoff moment, and I don't understand part of the reason Giannis is getting a pass so often. This is his 4th time in the playoffs. It's not like he's a newbie.
You're right.
Imagine if LeBron had the type of game that Giannis had in Game 3 and
he gets
fouled
crushed.
out, or Kevin Durant, or if that happens to James Harden, the world is on fire.
But if you look at where Giannis is in his development compared to where those, like, I don't think the criticism would be as harsh of a KD or a LeBron if they were as young and as early in their development as Giannis is. There would be more, because they were higher profile players to begin with when they came into the league. I mean, LeBron was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was in high school. Yeah. So the spotlight on him was always brighter, and that's good sometimes, and that's bad sometimes when you disappear in the playoffs.
If you are going to be the league MVP and you're supposed to be the one to try and take this throne, you can't clam up like he did.
You're right.
And you can't be airballing free throws in the conference finals. Like, you just can't.
I will be here a week from now on this show, and we'll be previewing the NBA Finals. and it will be the Bucks and the Warriors.
When
Write
would
that
the
down.
series end? I picked the Raptors in 7. I think no matter what, it's going
Series
7.
ends Monday if it goes 7. And I
I
think they
think
said the
it's-
final start Thursday.
The final start June 30th. Or May 30th, excuse me.
Oh, that's Friday. Next Friday then.
So, yeah, I picked Raptors in 7. I'm sticking to that. I actually feel more confident now in that pick than I did when I made it.
I picked
originally.
Bucks in 6, and I'm sticking with Bucks in 6.
I don't see how they can win in Toronto. They seem shook in that building. I can't see it happening.
I think they take control of this series in Game 5.
They've been outplayed in 3 of the 4 games.
To
too,
quote
which
the dog
should
whisperer,
scare
Cesar
you.
Millan, they will assert
I
their
don't know who that
dominance
is. I have no idea who that is.
and roll right through Game 6.
All right, time will tell. We'll see. Cluster Fun will be back tomorrow. I'm Danny Cunningham. That's Ramie Makhlouf. See
Shout
you
out to
then.
the dog whisperer.